You mean President Canute?
Yeah.
Just gonna try to hold back the tide. So no, I mean, look, it's we're going to exhaust this strategic petroleum reserve in 30 days when he started this thing. So we're pretty much almost through what they reasonably can do with the petroleum reserve. And it's really a drop in the bucket. It's actually the wrong kind of oil, too. It's a heavy oil that has to be heavily refined, and refineries don't like it. And that's the reason why it was dumped in the reserves in the first place. It wasn't our best oil. But, the short answer to your question is no, it's going to do nothing. It was psychological to see if they can manipulate the futures markets into catching people off sides. But until and unless our production goes up, organic production, we're at the whims of basically Russia and Saudi Arabia / Middle East for who has pricing power. When Trump was in power, we actually had the pricing power. We could control the price of oil, but that has shifted back over to basically the Middle East and Asia because the Biden administration shot themselves in the head by limiting the oil that we can create domestically. They're panicking though, Dave, because they're allowing drilling now on public land, which they always said no to. But they talk out of both sides of their mouth, and they cut off part of Alaska to drill. Basically, they cut off the best parts to drill from, and then offer these leases, which take 2 or 3 years to bring into production. So, yeah, I think we're in a wild ride for oil. Oil will fall if they put us into a recession. But if not, we're looking at oil over $100 a barrel into the foreseeable future.
And we're also exporting a lot of natural gas to Europe right now. And there are reports that we're running low on natural gas. I guess they're trying to offset what Russia is doing. So we're exporting everything out there. And it doesn't seem like it's working.
Yeah, it's a trade we put on again yesterday was natural gas. I told our subscribers, even if oil falls, natural gas is going to stay high because normally natural gas in Europe is twice as expensive as it is in the United States. We built out all these liquid natural gas, facilities to liquefy it and to ship it over to Europe. So we're going to be the recipients of Europe not having their act together, and we get to pay more for our natural gas. And yes, natural gas is running short as well as propane.
Really?
So I give you my public service announcement for today is make sure you fill up your propane tanks now before you get into summer. And also we own a stock called SPH, which is Suburban Propane, 8.8% dividend. I have it in my IRA. Throw it in your IRA because they're not producing enough propane either. So, and that hurts the farmers. I know we'll talk food in a little bit, but that also hurts the farmers as well. So, I mean, what a mess. And this was all avoidable, Dave. Totally self-inflicted wound.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with fuel prices and everything that we're seeing today. I mean, they actually created all of this because if you go back to, just like you said, if you go back to when Trump was in the White House, we were energy independent. We had fuel prices very, very low. We had the Keystone Pipeline working. We had the leases intact, and they just reversed everything. But I think what's important about that is people saw that. I think if Obama was the president and we went into Hillary and we never saw that the country could be energy independent, people would never know this. They would never know that it is possible.
That's right. And he got blamed for it. They tried to, it's Putin's fault, and then people were like, no, it's your fault.
Yeah.
They had to back off.
They're not buying what he's selling.
Not anymore.
Not at all. So I heard the CEO of Goya come out and many other people saying that we're running into a food shortage problem. And I know that Bolsonaro in Brazil is working with Russia to get fertilizer into his country, into India, into all the other countries. What's happening with the food? Why are there food shortages on the horizon?
Yeah, so let's break this down. There's a couple things happening at one time here, Dave. So let's talk fertilizer first. So North America is actually a net producer and even a net exporter of fertilizer, primarily because of Canada, but the United States produces a lot too. So if push came to shove, the United States will have fertilizer, but they got to pay world market rates, so it's going to be very, very expensive. Europe is in deficit, on everything. And Belarus and Kazakhstan are the big producers over there in Asia. And so that's why the BRIC nations didn't come along with the West on the Russia thing. Is fertilizer number one, petroleum number two. Now, Brazil needs fertilizer, they don't need oil, but India needs fertilizer and they need oil. And that's why, and China needs fertilizer and China needs energy. So that's why Russia has those guys aligned with them. There's plenty of fertilizer, it's just that how much you're going to have to pay for it. And if something happens to Belarusian supplies, then prices will go sky high. So my view on this is this. I think we're all okay in 2022. 2023 is when things can get really interesting. So let me walk through it. So this year there's enough wheat, but wheat being planted this year in the United States, only 28% of the wheat crop is considered good to excellent at this point. That's a little nerve-wracking. Corn's a problem because they allowed it to be converted into ethanol. Again, this is the Biden WEF. Hey, we don't want people to eat beef, so we won't give them corn to feed to the beef. We're going to pump it into ethanol, try to keep energy prices from going down, but then food prices go up. And so corn's a problem because it takes a lot of fertilizer. This year, believe it or not, rice is in abundance, okay? But soybeans are now a problem because Malaysia just basically stopped the exporting of palm oil. They're the world's largest producer and exporter. They're keeping it for themselves. So soybeans are going to be a problem. Now, in the United States, we produce a lot of soybeans, and it's going to be a direct recipient of people moving from corn to soybeans because soybeans fixes its own nitrogen, and that's one fertilizer you don't have to stick in the ground. And so soybean oil is going to be a problem. In Europe, they're actually rationing seed oils for cooking in Europe. Okay, so I say the United States, we're going to be inconvenienced and we're going to be annoyed, and we're going to have spot shortages. Europe is in big trouble. Asia's in big trouble, and God knows where Africa sits and all that stuff, but Asia and Europe are in big trouble. South America is also having some drought issues too, Dave. And they're big exporters of wheat, corn, and soybeans. And that's going to give China grief. China doesn't have enough fertilizers. So China might be in a situation. And we got to watch it here because, we export a lot of food to China. I think it's going to be a political football going into the next election. Not so much the midterms, but in 2023 when people find out they can't get food and they're shipping it overseas, it's going to be a big problem.
You think the resident will start shipping food over to Europe and to other places just like he's shipping natural gas?
Yeah, I think so. Look, they want us to suffer, okay? The big complaint the leftists have always had is that the American people have it too easy. We don't pay as much money as the Europeans for things and yada, yada, yada. And I think this is part of their policy is to make the American people not have the disposable income to live a lifestyle that we all enjoy, and it's all policy driven. Yeah, of course he'll do it. He'll do it in a minute. He's beholden to these powers, okay? He can care less about the American people. No leftist does here.
No, that's absolutely true. So the Fed, they are talking about raising the rates, and not just by 25 basis points. They're about 50. They're even talking about 1 basis point, and they're saying they have to accelerate this, and they have to, do this 2, 3, 4 times this year. So do you think this is going to control the inflation that we're seeing? Or if they raise the rates so quickly like they're saying they want to do, is this going to have other consequences?
Well, it's going to have other consequences, and I don't think they're going to get there. I think if you've seen what's happening in the stock market over the last 2 weeks, just the threat of 50 basis point move has basically killed the housing market already. Yeah. Doesn't mean prices are going down. It just killed the sales of housing, okay? And so I think that, believe it or not, I believe they'll stop this summer. You can hold me accountable for it when we talk in September, because I think they're going to push us into a recession by fall. And then I think they're going to be freaking out and they're going to be lowering interest rates. But I don't think it's going to affect pricing at all. Think of the 4 drivers of pricing, Dave. Okay, food prices are outside the Fed's ability. They can't print food, right? Energy is a problem for them, okay? They can manipulate on the margins. You see that. But unless they get production up, energy prices aren't going down. Medical costs aren't going to go down just because of the demographics of our country, okay? And then you have rent. Okay, if people can't afford to buy a house, they have to rent property. Okay, and so those aren't coming down. So those are the 4 drivers of CPI, right? And I don't see them being able to do anything more than making people miserable. Okay, they're going to have to pay more to get less things, and they're still not going to be able to drive these prices down in the near term. And that's all they care about. They're trying to drive this stuff down like now. Okay, and they're not going to be able to do it. It takes like 1 to 2 years to affect this kind of behavioral change, and by then we may have millions of people, filing for bankruptcy because people are broke already. Dave, they're broke in the best economy in the world because prices are too high. Wait till they raise the cost of living even further. It's going to send people over the edge.
I mean, I think at this point, people are seeing the true nature of a central bank economy and what inflation really is like, because they masked inflation for a very long time by using credit, by taking manufacturing, moving out to China. I mean, they did whatever they possibly could to make sure that people didn't manipulate the inflation calculation. They did whatever they could to mask what their system actually really does and what inflation is. And now people are seeing it for the first time, I think, or feeling it.
They pulled every trick out of the book, and now the curtain's been pulled on the wizard. And it's a problem. Look, they threw a fence up around their offices. They know it's coming. I was talking to somebody about this just this week, and the younger generation doesn't understand why that entity even exists. Okay, and how many of these kids are going to even pay taxes, right? So you have all these issues around these. And wait till Venmo. Wait till all those tax notices come to people around Venmo, Dave. Okay? All the people have been paying gig economy, and then Venmo sends 1099s to the federal government. They don't send them to your house. You got to go in there and pull your own 1099 out. Now, how many people have done that, right? And all of a sudden, they're going to get these tax notices. They owe the IRS all this money. And it's not just the taxes. They're going to have to pay the Social Security portion of it, too, because it's considered self-employment income. So it's going to be a nightmare. I predict the IRS will be on the docket in 2024.
Speaking about the kids, Biden, he's looking to find out how he can cancel all the student debt and everything like that. I mean, he said it while he was campaigning in his basement, but now he's back. And, of course, the midterms are approaching. And it seems that Congress isn't going to do it. So he's trying to find a workaround, just like with the mandates and all that other stuff. He tried to make these laws, which the resident doesn't make laws. He's in the executive branch. But why do you think he wants to cancel the student debt for the students? Why is he pushing so hard?
I know this is a rhetorical question from you, but for the benefit of your audience, is that it's just a patently obvious ploy to get people to vote for them. And so
wait, so he's buying votes?
Oh, yeah. I know, shocked I am, but yeah. But look, and here's the thing: is that they that's his voter base. All those people that got college degrees that are worthless, to their life, and now they're trying to figure out how to get the heck out of them. You can't discharge those in bankruptcy either. So that thing hangs around your neck, and you retire with those loans. Guess what? They reduce your Social Security payment from it. So you go into retirement, basically poverty stricken. So so it's a problem, and I know he's trying to do executive order, but that was voted in by Congress. That's $1.9 trillion of money, which I think there's 150 or 200 million that comes into the Treasury, every year from that. And so how is he going to discharge that? Look, this was just another thing. I was talking to one of my subscribers is from Europe, and they don't understand the American education system. I said it's a business. It's not in the business to educating you. It's a business to rake in money, and this is why so many kids go to college, because the universities are there just to rake in the cash from the student loans. If there was no student loan payments, university education would probably be maybe $8,000 a year, and you would probably have like 1/3 of the degrees available to you that they have today. And I said, but they created this industry around it, and that's what's causing us all this great harm for these kids. Look, I feel for them. I am so fortunate. My daughter decided to get a vocational job, which she's actually making. She's 21. She's already making more money than college graduates. And so I think you're going to see a sea change there as well. But look, he may try to do a fig leaf on it. He's been definitely trying to defer it out into the future, but I don't think he can legally do it. There'll be lawsuits all around. How about, look, you and I I paid off my student loan. You probably went to college and paid off
Yep.
yours too. And I want my money back. You send me a check.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think everyone's going to want their money back.
All right. I want my money back. If it's good for them, it's good for me just because of timing. I think that's going to be for many people, he's going to get to like it. He's going to get that many people really ticked off. People who paid for their kids' education and people who paid off their student loans. It's a no-win situation for him. They could have cut a deal a different way, but these guys are not creative. They're just automatons. We need votes. We need these votes. And that's their simple solution to a complex problem.
He kind of trapped himself because if he can't get it done, all these individuals, they're angry at him and they're going to be pissed off as hell, and that's not going to work out well for him at all in the long run.
Look, everything this guy does is turned into butter.
So with all the inflation and everything that we're seeing, I mean, we know that gold went over $2,000 an ounce and it came back down a little bit. Bitcoin is dropping a little bit. Wouldn't you think that all these things would be skyrocketing now, like gold and Bitcoin and other metals?
Yeah, gold and silver surprised me a little bit, but if you look at their charts, they haven't been pushed down like they've had in the past. And so this suppression is starting to alleviate. And I think when the Fed has to stop this movement, they're going to do an interest rates because the economy is going to choke. I think you'll see gold and silver push up even higher. I'm looking at 2,500 for gold coming out. Silver, I just have no clue on anymore. I think it's going to be like a basketball being held underwater. Once it's set free, I think it's going to squirt very high, but it has to get free first. So Bitcoin's a different animal. Bitcoin has become a liquidity play like the NASDAQ, and it moves absolutely with liquidity. And so it's holding up pretty well considering the stock market's getting pummeled. But I think once liquidity pours back into the economy through Fed action, I think you'll see Bitcoin do just fine. So
with everything that's going on with the movement of gold and Bitcoin, how's your algorithm handling all this?
Yeah, surprisingly, we're doing pretty well. We sidestepped a lot of this stuff because we kept getting out of many, many, many things. When it looked like the thing was topping out, and so our algorithm just got us into selective things. Energy's held up well. We've been doing well with that. Natural gas has gone well. We've been doing well with that. There's been selective opportunities with stocks that have gone up, even though this market's been crashing, and we've been putting our clients into those. And then yesterday, in the depths of the tech wreck, our algorithm said, "Hey, I think this market you're going to get a bounce in the morning." We put people long overnight into the Q trade, and boom, we made them money. We told them natural gas is looking great. Boom, it popped up. So our subscribers are happy with what we're doing. We're not monolithic, Dave. We have our biases like everybody else, but I let the algorithm correct me, and ergo we've done well. Our clients, if you can read their comments, just in the past week have been very complimentary of what we've done, and we're getting clients because of it.
That's great. I mean, if people wanted to get into trading and they have no idea how to trade or do anything, do you have any specials running this month?
We do. So tradelikeagenius.com or tradegeniusacademy.com. You can go on our site. We have bundles, 65% off. Pick and choose if you like to trade stock, crypto, both. Want to get into the futures or options markets, we have rooms for all that. Also just training if you just want to get educated. And in addition to that, if you don't want to bundle, you can just use promo code Easter to Saturday, and you get 40% off anything that's not bundled already. The bundle's already pre-discounted. Everything's good to Saturday, Dave. But I want to make an important point. So what we do for you is that we give you access to our algorithm/indicators so that you can actually trade on your own if you choose. And we teach you how to use the indicator. You have access to our chat rooms where you can communicate with us. And then I put trades out every day too. So I'll teach you how to fish. I'll give you some fish. I'll put you in the right fishing grounds, and over time you'll perform well because we'll give you some good practices, and we'll teach you how to trade the right way, and we'll put you in trades that are going in the right direction. So thanks for letting me pitch that.
Yeah, great. I'll put all the links at the bottom of the video. This way they just have to click on it if they want to see what you do and join up and everything like that. And I just wanted to ask you, since we're talking about Bitcoin and everything else like that, Elon Musk, he just purchased Twitter. Now, he's a Bitcoiner. He likes cryptos. Do you think he's going to implement this? You think he's going to add this to Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised. He's definitely a new century guy. You saw the interview where he said the gerontocracy that's running the world needs to move on because they don't understand what's happening. He understands algorithms. He understands automation. He understands the digital community. He understands freedom. So I think he's going to put all that stuff together. Look, he's friends with Jack, right? The guy that used to run Twitter, the guy who runs Square, or Block as they call themselves now. I wouldn't be surprised that they basically work together to create a better version of Twitter. And I'm actually excited about it. There's a lot of directions which he could take with this beyond just the freedom that he's proposing. Let's assume that he gets this thing over the finish line, is that I get to see him doing many, many, many things with Twitter. And I could see him doing a subscription model where you pay with Bitcoin or maybe an alt currency of his choice, maybe one in which he can benefit personally from as well, which wouldn't surprise me, which would still be okay. And I think he'll create an ecosystem around that, and he'll make the Facebook to Meta thing look like a stupid fool's errand, because he truly has an environment where he can really communicate with people and they can communicate with him. So I like it. And yeah, I feel hopeful for it. Look, I'm still all in on Bitcoin. My philosophy in general is you have to have some Bitcoin, you have to have some gold, you have to have some silver, you need to have the miners, you need to be in energy. And other than that, you need to be very, very careful elsewhere in terms of your assets. If you have rental properties, take a good hard look at those, whether they can survive a recession or you could survive holding them through a recession. And other than that, if you have IRAs and 401ks, start talking to your brokers. If you don't do anything with me, definitely talk to them about how you can protect yourself, maybe raise more cash, do whatever you need to do to make sure, because 2023, I think we're going to keep falling, Dave, because this bubble will burst in one way, shape, or form, and you got to cushion yourself, especially if you're older like I am. You can't go in there YOLOing your retirement, if you only have 10 or 15 years before you're going to retire. So you just really time to be smart, think through things, be careful, and we'll all get through it. I think we're going to come out the other side of this better, Dave. There's going to be some pain, but I'm very hopeful. I see the winds of change forming here, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Now, going back a little bit, you said that we're probably, when we're talking about the Fed raising their rates, you said we might see a recession happen this year, and then they'll back off on raising the rates. You think it's going to happen that soon? Or start?
Well, yeah, depending on how aggressive he gets. I mean, look, housing market is just did a full stop. The fire economy, finance, insurance, real estate is like 40% of our GDP, and the auto industry, including in that, is 40% of our GDP. They've killed the auto industry with supply chain issues, and if they raise rates, you can't buy a car, you can't buy a house, right?
Right.
Your mortgages go up. People get scared, stock market goes down, people stop spending, and then the service economy starts to collapse because that's non-essential spending. So if he pushes too hard, too fast, if the 10-year rate gets over 3.1%, Dave, and pushes up higher, we're going to be in recession within 4 months. And if he backs off, it'll be in 2023. But there's no way to avoid it. I don't know what China is doing. They're committing some sort of suicide over there. I don't know if they're trying to do a murder-suicide and take us with them, but 40% of their GDP is being locked up right now. Europe is committing suicide by going after Russia with this Ukraine thing, and we're not going to be able to avoid it. If you live in America, thank God you live in America, because Asia and Europe are going to be an absolute mess, and it's going to affect us at some point. He absolutely will do a 180, Dave. At some point this year, he's going to have to do a 180. He's not going to have a choice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Hey, Bob, thank you very much for being on the X22 Report Spotlight. Once again, how can people join up to your trading system?
Yeah, come to tradelikeagenius.com or tradegeniusacademy.com, take you to the same place. What we offer for our services, the prices we charge, is nothing compared to the value you'll get out from it. And I thank you for letting me share that, Dave.